I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati.
What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome to Sabby's Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you are new, I want to let you know that Sabby's Sabs podcast is a part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursdays for the Roundtable and Fridays for the Sabby Show. You can catch me here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I have a special guest here with me to do the news tonight. What's going on, Ron?
What's up, Sabrina? Good to see you. And my cat Lucy's in my lap. She's I guess it's that time of the day for her, which is awesome. So she says hello too. You can't really see her. She's kind of like too low for the camera, but she's chilling here. I'll try to. There she is.
Oh.
All right. Sorry, you can go back to where you were. I just wanted everyone to say hi.
Oh. For those who don't know, like, this is Ron's second time like coming back on. Like, I interviewed Ron a couple months ago, although that seems like a long time ago from now.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. Was it when you were first getting started, or it was, or was it right after you had joined the network?
It was like when I was first getting started.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I know. It seems like a long time ago.
I know, right? Well, good to be back. Thanks for inviting me again.
All right, so let's get into it. I have a couple of stories tonight, guys. A lot of things happened over the weekend, and honestly, I was trying to decide like what I was going to talk about because there were so many different things that happened. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show you the thumbnail so we can walk through it. All right, this is what we're talking about tonight. Jen Psaki fails on student loans. What did she say about student loan repayment? And those of us with student loans are not going to be happy about that. We're going to talk about CNN producer is arrested. Why was he arrested? And what is his connection with Chris Cuomo? I'm trying not to laugh. It's just this guy's name continues to come up like it's ridiculous. And we're also going to talk about Chris Wallace leaves Fox News, but where is he going? And then one more story that I couldn't fit on the thumbnail is Amazon workers die. And that also happened this weekend as well. So let's go ahead and get started with Jen Psaki's student loans. So Jen Psaki had a press conference, and one of the reporters in the audience asked her, "Hey, what about the student loan repayment?"
Remember that thing you promised?
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and cue up that video. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and here we go. So you're going to hear her response to that. And I don't think you're going to like what she had to say. Just being honest.
Voluntarily exposed himself to intense enemy fire multiple.
Oh, hold on one second, guys. I got to get to.
She said someone was exposed to intense enemy fire. She must be talking about Brian. What's his name? It's the guy Brian Williams.
Yeah.
I said Brian Wilson.
I thought I had this queued up.
I got music on my mind.
Brian Wilson?
Yeah, I said Brian Wilson instead of Brian Williams. Brian Wilson, way cooler than Brian Williams. Just for the record, for everyone watching at home.
1 second, guys. I think I picked up the wrong video. It happens sometimes.
It does happen sometimes. The one thing we know for sure is that Jen Psaki stepped in it once again. because she does that a lot.
Let's see. I'll just pick it up off of Twitter. Yeah, she like after everything that's happened, I just can't.
You know, me neither. And I am wondering this, and I've been wondering this for a long time. This goes far beyond Jen Psaki or any one person, but why is White House press secretary even a job? Why does that job exist? They are the president. They are the most powerful person on the planet. They could report to us 100% of the time. What are they so busy with that we can't hear from them? George W. Bush spent most of his time on vacation. Barack Obama spent most of his time making up excuses why he couldn't do anything when he had the House and Senate. Donald Trump spent most of his time watching TV and golfing. Joe Biden, I don't know what Joe Biden does with his time, Sabs. I think he probably learns the alphabet or something. They could just report to us. We don't need a press secretary. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. All right, here we go. Here's that cringe moment.
The Biden administration considering extending that student loan payment pause? I know there's, if not, besides legislation that probably won't pass, what are some of the options that can help these people?
You're talking about the student loan payment pass that expires in February, just for clarity. So in the coming weeks, we will release more details about our plans, and we'll engage directly with federal student loan borrowers to ensure they have the resources they need and are in the appropriate repayment plan. We're still assessing the impact of the Omicron variant, but a smooth transition back into repayment is a high priority for the administration. The Department of Education is already communicating with borrowers to help them to prepare for return to repayment on February 1st and has secured contract extensions with loan servicers. So we are preparing for a range of steps here. These steps have provided, I would just note, more than $12.5 billion in discharges to nearly 640,000 borrowers, plus tens of billions more saved by the 41 million borrowers who have benefited from the extended student loan payment pause. But it expires February 1st. So right now we're just making a range of preparations.
And then on the Olympics.
And they go to the Olympics.
So like I want to get your take on that, because what's interesting to me is when she said, you know, she talks about the priority, like what's good for them, not so much what's good for all of us that have all this like student loan debt. And then on top of that, like she says, oh, we're going to make sure they have the resources that they need. What resources? Like
that was just fluff. Yeah, that was just fluff. What so what you're gonna distribute money to people? You're gonna give an emergency UBI? Is that what you mean by resources? Of course, that's not what she means. I like how the reporter threw a little bit of subtle shade there at the beginning, where they were like, "Besides policy that probably won't pass, what are you gonna do?" And then Jen Psaki took a very long way to say, "We are doing nothing. We are doing absolutely freaking nothing. It expires, and start paying up." And Democrats who control the House and the Senate are going to go into the midterm year having done absolutely nothing about student loan debt. Done nothing.
Exactly. Echo J said, if you can wipe some of the loans, you can wipe all of the loans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can. I mean, they totally can. Joe Biden could sign a thing today that would wipe out student loan debt, and it would just pull a burden off of a generation, multiple generations, not even just a generation, multiple generations. It would be such a wise thing to do, morally, obviously, but also economically. It makes sense economically to do it too. It's not just the right thing to do, it is, but it's also economically a wise thing to do. There are generations of people who can't buy a house, who don't want to start families, who don't want to do all these things because they are buried under student loan debt. Lifting that burden would do so much for a society.
No, I agree 100%. Jakari says, did anyone else get that student loan email with "Are you ready" in the subject line? Yes, I did get that. It's ridiculous. Like, I just know they talk about the economy and how bad the economy is right now. And one of the things that could really help the economy is if they just canceled student loan debt, because then we would put that money into the economy. More younger people could buy homes, could start families. Like I know people that won't get married because they just can't. They can't afford it because they have all the student loan debt, and weddings are expensive now. And it's just it really doesn't make any sense at this point. And I know a lot of us aren't even going to be able to pay all of this off like before we die.
It's remarkable what they've done. And this is all, none of this was necessary. This was all predatory lending, predatory loan practices that have just padded the pockets of a few plutocrats who are exploiting people for their own gain. I mean, this isn't like, it's not like, oh, this has helped the economy at all. No, this is just crippled regular people, making a couple people very rich. And it should have never happened. I mean, we have made education just beyond a privilege. And if you want to go to school, like it's like you have to take out a lifetime of debt in most cases. And it's just completely backwards. There's no reason for it. Tons of other countries have figured this out. They view education as a public good, as it should be. And yet here we are, just light years behind, all because of the ruling class, all because of the predator class. And this is what an empire looks like. Like, this is exactly what an empire looks like. Any society that would allow this to happen to its people is just truly an empire. And it is remarkable that there are people, even in the United States, who think there's nothing we can do about this, who aren't for free college. They think it's something we can't have. And I just, what planet are you living on? I mean, what do you do? What do you think goes on in these other countries?
One of the things I've like advocated for, so recently over this weekend, Indie Left News, he started a new network called N or Get In News, and they had a student loan boycott marathon. And different people came on, and I was one of the guests that came on. And it was really interesting to hear everyone's stories about their student loan debt. And we all had different stories. But one of the things, like, we all came to the same conclusion, regardless if you're, and Valerie points this out, I'm a boomer and we are both swamped under student loan debt, can't pay it. Regardless if you're a millennial, if you're Gen Z, there are some people who are, boomers as well that are also having to deal with this. So this is a problem that I don't see is going to go away on its own. I feel like it's just going to continue to hurt the economy. And this is also a bad thing for progressives. And this is why I say, like, if Joe Biden and Democrats think they really want to win, I don't think they want to win. I think they like losing. No. They're in for like a reality check. So it says Biden won't extend student loan relief and confirm student loan payments restart February 1st. And down here, it says student loan relief. This won't sit well with progressives and advocates. Progressive members of Congress leading advocacy groups and student loan borrowers have lobbied President Joe Biden to extend the student loan payment pause beyond January 31st. They cite potential financial devastation for millions of borrowers if temporary student loan forbearance isn't extended. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren said that 89% of student loan borrowers feel financially unprepared to restart student loan payments. They also argue that 9 million student loan borrowers in default will suffer further financial detriment. And this is true because if you go into default with like student loans, like that is not something that credit wise that screws you over. Like,
well,
big
it crushes your credit. And can't they can eventually garnish your wages and stuff too, can't they? Like, isn't there a way they get, I mean, that's just that's criminal. Like, it's criminal what they're allowed to do. And in a lot of ways, they're even going backwards. I mean, I've seen some reports of like stuff they're going to be able to do when it comes to debt collection. So it's like we're pretty much going backwards. And it's nice that there's all these gestural, theatrical things to make it seem like they're fighting for us. But in reality, they're not going to do anything that upsets the donor class. And doing something about student loans would upset the donor class. I mean, you mentioned like you don't think the Democrats are trying to win. I mean, I firmly believe that the Democrats' first priority is not winning. Their first priority is let's keep the donors happy. And if we uphold priority number one, if we can beat a Republican or two, that's cool. If not, well, that's okay too, because the gravy train keeps rolling. And then, by the way, when we lose, there's no pressure on us to actually do anything because we're the party that's actually gesturing like we're here for the working class. The Republicans don't even need to pretend.
Exactly. Like I was telling people this a while back, Sally Mae actually donates to Republicans and Democrats.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So
when you're betting on both teams, you can't lose. Can't lose when you
Thanks so
bet on
much.
both teams.
Thanks for the super chat, The Traveler. Jen Psaki will be busy circling back about why Biden won't cancel our student loan debt. 100%. Thanks so much. I agree.
Remember when he pretended like he didn't think he could?
Yeah.
He just straight up, he was just like, he's like, I don't know if I can do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you freaking, we just informed you. Yes, you can. Like it is. I mean, I know this is like such a cliche, but when you hear him speak, and Trump was the same way. I mean, say with the last guy, it's like, how did you get this gig? Any system where our choices, I mean, at the 2020 election, the first debate should have happened between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And somebody just should have stood up and been like, hey, this whole thing is over now. Like, we're done with it because it led to these two. We're done. This system is over. It's clearly failed beyond comprehension. We are we're eliminating the House. We're eliminating the Senate. We're having a people's legislature, and we're going to elect a president via draft because holy shit, have we failed. That we'd be better off that way. We'd be better off that way than what we have now. When you have the leader of the free world, I don't know if I could do that. You don't know if you could do this thing that would freaking change society for the better. That would unburden millions and millions of people who have this diminishing quality of life. Oh, you don't know if you can do that. You know you can do that. You don't want to do that. You don't care. You laugh at the idea of people having health care. During a pandemic, we don't even... the World Health Organization came out, and they were like, everyone should have a universal healthcare system. All countries need to work towards that. And here's the United States, pretty much the richest country in the world, won't even talk about it.
Nope. And they keep talking about the fact that we have all these job vacancies, but we can't find people to fill these jobs. But they're not telling people a lot of those jobs are temp positions or they're contract positions, and they don't offer any benefits, which means if you take that job, then you're going to have to pay for health insurance out of your pocket. Like you're going to have to private pay. Basically, if you have to go to the doctor, you're going to have to pay full price, which is expensive. So, but they still want you to pay back the student loan debt. So,
yeah, we don't have a labor shortage. We have a living wage shortage. And I can just point to my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as an example. Within 1 week, there was this Burger King where everyone said, we're freaking done. And they walked off. Good. They walked out of there. You know what happened that same freaking week? This ice cream store, legendary ice cream store in the Strip District neighborhood, they announced that starting wages for everybody was $15 an hour. Still not quite enough, in my opinion, but better than where they were at. And they said, hey, $15 an hour. We're starting everyone at $15 an hour, and you get raises. They got a record number of applicants. We don't have a labor shortage. We have a living wage shortage.
Exactly. And for those who may not know, the reason why you can't file bankruptcy for student loans is because of Joe Biden. He's the one that wrote that in. So you're stuck, essentially.
Yes, you know, it's like I say to people, it's like, man, I know that folks are disappointed with Biden, and if only he had given us 40 years of clues of how he might govern, we could have predicted some of this.
I know. Thanks so much, The Traveler, for the super chat. Also, for those not familiar with Google Credit Card Joe, and you'll see why he ain't canceling our debt. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, he's from the Capitol. I mean, he's like all of the like credit card and debtor stuff. That's all in Delaware, and I'm pretty sure like he made it, or he was among those governing who made it easier for them to do their thing. You know, I don't remember all the details off the top of my head, but yeah, like he's he's in that camp. I mean, this is the guy, this is the guy who started his campaign with Comcast executives. This is the guy who's never seen a big bank he didn't like, never seen a war he didn't like.
Yep.
He's the
100%.
guy.
I know. It just, that's why I say, like, it's already going to happen in 2022, but they don't even know if they want Joe Biden to run in 2024. They're already talking about, oh, what if Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris, as if that's so much better, because Kamala Harris is now like 28% approval rating.
They wanted Kamala so bad, and the public just kept saying no. I mean, throughout, Kamala was the first anointed one, and the public was like, no, even our own state, no, we're not. And then they were like, how about Buttigieg? And the public's like, no, we've been asking for Bernie for a long time now. We still kind of want, but how about Liz Warren? Still Bernie. How about Liz Warren again? Still Bernie. Bernie. We want Bernie. We want Bernie. Well, you know what? You guys are so uncooperative. Screw you. You're getting Joe Biden, and he's going to pick the cop because we're going to find a way to shove her down your throats one way or another. And now they're already talking about how she probably wouldn't be able to win in 2024. But Democrats have never let that hold them back before. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Buttigieg Harris ticket and it wouldn't win. I don't think it would win. I mean, I don't think Biden will run again. I mean, originally that was the plan all along. He's not going to run again. Now I think they're kind of entertaining the idea that he might, just because they all know that Kamala wouldn't win. But I don't see how anyone thinks that Joe Biden, and I'm just being objective here, I don't see how anyone thinks Joe Biden could win again. Donald Trump beat himself. That's what happened in 2020. Donald Trump and the Republicans beat themselves. The only way, if they wouldn't have mishandled every single aspect of that pandemic, if they would have issued an emergency UBI, which they could have done, Donald Trump would still be president. He would have won. But he was just so incompetent up there that people crawled out of the woodwork and were like, we got to get rid of this guy. They didn't even care who Joe Biden was. They were just like, we got to get rid of this guy. That's why, I mean, Joe Biden is such, I think my friend Lord Ashcraft said this first, so I want to credit her, but he is the essential story of failing up. Like the essential story of, just failed run after failed run after failed run. And then you have this situation where a plutocrat clown talk show host fell into the White House because he beat the only candidate more beatable than him in 2016. And then in 2020, there's a once-in-a-century pandemic that brought the world to its freaking knees. The Democrats could have run a stale ham sandwich, and it would have won. So Joe Biden just literally falls up into the presidency. That famous video that went viral where he's walking up the stairs on airplane or Air Force One, and he keeps falling. That's a metaphor for his entire freaking career. The only thing that sucks is a lot of people got screwed over from his failing upward.
Agreed. Thanks so much for the super chat. The Traveler. Kamala's at what? Kamala's at 12% now, and she got money from Mnuchin. Got money from Mnuchin and Trump in 2016. Yeah, I did know Trump did donate to her, but I didn't realize she's at 12% now. That is terrible.
That's like lower than Bush was at the end. I think Bush at the end was at like 23 or something.
Oh my God.
She's, yeah.
That's so bad.
That's pretty freaking bad. I mean, she's one of those people where it's like when she talks, it's really hard to like her. Like she's very just off-putting. And and Pete Buttigieg is the same way. Like he's just a very off-putting guy. And Joe Biden's kind of like that too, but not quite. I mean, sometimes when Joe Biden talks, like you want to like him, you can't because he's so repulsive and he's been on the wrong side of things for so long. But like you want to, like you're like, come on, like when Obama talks, it's like you want to like him, but it's like when Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg and Hillary Clinton was another one. It's like they're just really not at all likable, and you don't want to. And you kind of wonder, it's like, who told you that politics was a good gig for you? Like, you should at least be able to lie well and at least be able to plaster on the fake smile and get people to where they want to like you. I guess in some ways, maybe it's better that they can't even try to hide it. But man, it's like
They don't have
the mask is just completely off.
yeah, it's like, remember American Idol? I don't know if that's back on now or not, but
I don't know either.
Simon Cowell used to talk about the likability factor. And he said, like, even if you're not the best singer, you could still win if you have that likability factor. They don't have that.
It's ironic that that guy's talking about likability for other people. My favorite part that I've ever seen on American Idol. I mean, I used to live in Pasadena, so I would always see the auditions. And of course, like as a comic, there were multiple times where I was like, I should just get in line. And part of me wishes I would have, but I never did. But my favorite thing was when some dude just got up there and started singing Die Die My Darling by the Misfits. And Simon was just so pissed off the entire time. He was like, da, 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 my darling. And they were like, what is this? And I was like, I want to get on and do something like that. But I never did. I mean, I guess it's not too late. Maybe someday.
Thanks so much for the super chat, Delthea. My great great grandpa had a job with cradle to the grave security called slave. What is needed is work with grown folk pay and grown folk respect. Thanks so much for the super chat, Delthea. Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm going into our second story, and I hate to say that I'm going to bring up Chris Cuomo again, but I have to bring him up again because he is back in the news, and so is his producer, by the way. So give me just a second here. I do not want to show the video. I'm going to go into the article. So this, oh my God, I can't make this up. Chris Cuomo, CNN producer, is charged with luring girls for sexual training. So he has been arrested. And this came out over the weekend. A veteran CNN producer who worked shoulder to shoulder with now disgraced. Oh, he's disgraced now, Ron. You see this?
Before he was fine. It's amazing. Those guys, I mean, both Fredo and Elder Fredo, which is what I call Chris Cuomo and his brother. And I'm allowed to say that because I'm an Italian American. I could call them Fredo.
Oh, man.
But like, it's so unbelievable. That guy was totally unqualified for his gig. Was able to like threaten someone in public, said he was going to throw him down the stairs. Nothing happened to him. Just failed on air over and over again. Nothing happened to him. And same with his brother. They were like not just, I mean, at least Andrew like could talk a good game. I mean, Chris was just like, how the hell did you get here? You had this handed to you. They were born on third base, and not even just on third base. They were born on third base with the bases loaded, and the pitcher was going to walk the batter because it was a really good hitter. And they were like, we're just going to walk this batter and let these guys score. And all they had to do was touch home plate, and they won. And somehow they like wandered out to the outfield for no frickin' reason. They somehow managed to screw that up. They were handed the silver spoon, and they were like, all you have to do with this silver spoon, don't shove it up your ass. They both shoved it up their ass. First, the elder Fredo. He's like, I'm going to shove this up my ass. And then his brother was just like, oh, brother, should I shove it up my ass too? And he shoved it right up his ass. That's what they both did. And it's oh my God. It's like, how do we as a society, the United States, we cannot point fingers at royal monarchs or anything like that. We have the same amount of nepotism. It's just called something different. There's no royalty titles, but they have last names like Cuomo or Clinton or Bush. It's the same frickin' thing.
With now disgraced ex-anchor Chris Cuomo has been indicted on charges of luring young girls to his Vermont ski house for sexual subservience training. This is in New England. This is like in like close to me. This is scary. John Griffin of Stamford, Connecticut, allegedly used messaging apps to befriend and persuade moms of young girls, telling them a woman is a woman regardless of her age and that
Oh my
he should be the
God.
one to train their daughters sexually. According to the indictment from the U.S. Attorney of Vermont, Griffin, 44, allegedly got at least one mom of two daughters to bring to bring the girl to his Ludlow ski getaway in June of 2020. It was the mom's responsibility to see that her older daughter, just 13, was trained properly. Griffin,
Oh
a
God,
father
it makes me
himself,
sick.
yeah, this is crazy.
This is sick. This is sick.
And he's a dad. Griffin, a father himself, sent the woman $3,000 for plane tickets so they could fly from Nevada to Boston's local airport. Get out of my city, where he picked them up in his Tesla and for the ride to Ludlow, according to court papers. This is the guy here. Let me zoom out. I don't mean for you guys to get that close to him. I'm sorry. And this is a picture here when him working with Chris Cuomo. So
He's giving him dating advice.
this is just when I tell you guys, like, all of these people run together, they all run together. It was there that the daughter was directed to engage in and did engage in unlawful sexual activity.
Oh my God.
This is terrible. So he was finding them on apps like Keek. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, it must be something for like younger kids. I don't know, and Google Hangout.
Well, but he was finding the moms, right? Like, didn't they say like he was finding moms? What? Why would? Oh, this is just disturbing. Like it's kind of hard to like. This is just really disturbing shit.
Like, this is crazy. And then it says he was arrested Friday by FBI agents after a federal grand jury in Vermont charged him with 3 counts of attempting to entice minors to engage in unlawful sexual activity. On his LinkedIn profile, Griffin boasts of having worked shoulder to shoulder with lead anchor Chris Cuomo, seeing him through each show and producing live breaking news across the country and around the world. They worked together during Cuomo's 5 years as co-anchor of CNN's A New Day. There you go.
Sheesh. Yeah, I mean that is a truly disturbing thing.
Like, for me, I just don't understand. Like, CNN is having a lot of issues, like, right now. Like, not saying they didn't have issues before.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say,
there
I swear a year ago they were great.
Apparently there's a culture there that, for whatever reason, some of their employees think that they can do this kind of behavior. So you have Chris Cuomo, you have this guy Griffin, who was a producer there, and you still have Don Lemon, who also is being accused of sexual assault.
I'm actually not hip to that. I didn't know that. Oh,
Second time.
Really? Oh,
Second time.
okay. I am not hip to that. I gotta look that up. Yeah, I'm not hip to that. Or not aware of that. You know, when you look at the way our corporate media is, and it's not just CNN, it's also MSNBC, it's also Fox News, it's all of them. I mean, when you look at the way they're set up and what it is that they really do, they're not news networks. They're PR networks for the ruling class. They're PR networks for their advertisers, which is fossil fuel companies and weapons manufacturers. That's what they are. And they just make garbage television. That's what it is. It is. I mean, calling it infotainment is not accurate, because infotainment is implying that there's information there and that it's entertaining. It is neither of those two things in any case. So it is just straight up garbage, parody news at best. And it's not shocking why that would not attract the greatest of person. I mean, honestly, and I'm not saying, I'm sure there's a lot of people who work there, who work in production or whatever else, and you know, they're just doing their job, and this is just the society we live in. You know what I mean? But like, I can see how it would attract some really disturbing personalities, and it has.
Yeah. No, I agree. Shout out to Aspen Fallen for the super chat. Appreciation for Ron always. Mang the spoon metaphor.
Thank you, Aspen Fall. Good to see you. I hope all's well.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel like more people are gonna come out too. Like I don't feel like it's just those three people
Well,
because
that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, if he is found guilty, I mean, if he is guilty of this, then I think they will have to ask those questions. Were there other people involved, and who knows what?
oh man, oh man. So I don't know how much Chris Cuomo knew about this. That's another thing that I'm questioning as well, because if they were that close as they say they were, I don't know if he knew this was going on or not. But I'm just saying, either way, it doesn't look good for him and it doesn't look good for CNN. And this brings up the whole thing again with Ghislaine Maxwell, because it's like you have all these people, these high profile people, and Chris had just named like a list of names that
Yeah.
he also believes are like involved in this. They're just like wealthy elite people. They run in the same circles. And I'm even hearing now from people that Obama also was on some of these trips. So
Mm.
it's how do you like take those people down? And it's just, it seems like this culture is just like accepted. I don't understand how you can go onto the news every night. Like Chris Cuomo was on every night and talk about these same types of stories and pretend like you're not complicit.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and getting back to this particular thing, of course, to be fair, we have no idea what he might have known or didn't know. It could be totally not like we don't know. Like there's a lot we just don't know yet. But
Mhm.
but yeah, when you really look at the web of power, it is a very disturbing thing that there are just some powerful people doing these very, very despicable, disturbing things. And there's so much that we're never going to know, especially because Jeff Epstein is no longer with us. And,
Yeah.
the official story, totally believable. There's nothing more to it. And, so that's just, and I don't know what's going to happen with her trial. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't follow it as intensely as some people do because it is difficult. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it is very heavy, gross stuff. So I follow it to the best of my ability, but I'm not as ingrained in it as some people are because it is literally stomach turning. And
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean it's this sort of is kind of aligned with all that, whereas it's basically powerful people that they think that other human beings are just commodities. And that's that's how you have to feel to view underaged women as just like objects for your pleasure, and then somehow convincing their parents of that, which is, I mean, there's a lot of questions there too. Like what? Who were the moms agreeing to this?
I have no idea. That's crazy. Like that just I don't get it. But yeah, it's like hard to hear, and like mainstream media also isn't covering that trial as heavily as like they covered like Kyle Rittenhouse or they covered like Ahmaud Arbery. Like they're kind of hush about what's going on in the courtroom there. I found I have to dig for information more, but I don't think that's like a coincidence either. I think that's on purpose.
Well, they're trying. I mean, you've seen those headlines. They're trying to make it out like she's a victim.
Hmm.
Ghislaine Maxwell. Like they're trying to make it out like she's a victim, and it's I don't know how all of this is going to end, but I would not be shocked if she got off. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say I'm going to make that prediction, but it would not shock me.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of CNN, that leads me to my next story, actually, because Chris Wallace has announced that he is officially leaving Fox News. Chris Wallace has been with Fox News, I think, like 18 years. So it's been a long time. So Chris Wallace announces abrupt departure from Fox News to join CNN streaming service.
Good. I was worried about him. I thought we might have to start a GoFundMe or something. I'm glad he found a new gig.
um, so it says at the end of Fox News Sunday, Chris Wallace said that That was his final episode. 18 years ago, the bosses here at Fox promised me they would never interfere with a guest I booked or question I asked, and they kept that promise. I have been free to report to the best of my ability to cover the stories I think are important to hold our country's leaders to account. Wallace was the first Fox News anchor to moderate a presidential debate, which he did in 2016 and 2020. Wallace, who was already a respected figure in journalism when he came to Fox News in the early 2000s, had developed a reputation for asking tough questions of both Democrats and Republicans.
According to who? Who said, all right.
In his sign-off Sunday, Wallace said his next adventure would let him go beyond politics to all the things I'm interested in. He didn't say what exactly that new role would be, but within hours, CNN announced he would anchor a weekly interview show on its new subscription streaming service, CNN Plus.
All right. Well, what's he going to talk about? What are his interests?
After
he looks like a guy who would go bird watching.
Yeah, like I don't know
like
how this
that.
is gonna
That
go.
seems like that might be his jam. Maybe it's going to be a show about birds.
Yeah, it's really weird. After decades in broadcast and cable news, I'm excited to explore the world of streaming. I look forward to the new freedom and flexibility streaming affords in interviewing major figures across the new landscape and finding new ways to tell stories. Well, you could do that at CNN.
What new ways?
So Fox
He
News
sounds
said
like someone just told him how streaming works like 10 minutes ago, and that was like his first response. Like they're just like, yeah, no, it's like TV, but it's online and stuff, and people can watch the video again later. But you're live initially, but it's on the internet. Yeah, it's like the internet. Oh, kind of like how the podcast is a radio show on your computer, just like that, Chris. Oh, it's like we can tell stories a whole new way. I don't know about that, but okay. Do you want that to be your statement? Sure, I'm in. Let's go bird watching.
Yeah, he sounds like he just found out about streaming. It's really weird, actually. But it doesn't seem like there was any, I guess, beef or whatever between him and Fox News. They went on to say Wallace's departure is a major loss for Fox News, no question about it. The exit of the 74-year-old host follows a series of clashes over the network's direction. Whoops, spoke too soon. Wallace has occasionally rebuked his colleagues on air over the fawning coverage of then President Donald Trump, along with political anchor Brett Barr. He had warned network executives about Tucker Carlson's coverage of January 6th siege of the U.S. Capitol, which relied on conspiracy theories and outright lies. Okay, so what's your opinion of this? Like, do you think that he's leaving because of the direction that Fox News has been going in, because they're going further and further to the right? Or do you think he just wants to do something new?
I think he just wants to do something new. I mean, he was there for how many years did they say? I mean, a while. I forget.
Like 18.
18.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are at Fox News for 18 years and you don't realize it's a right-wing network, you must be doing a fashion segment or something, and you don't talk to anyone when you're in the building. And that wasn't the case for him. He was doing news. He even said so. So he's aware that Fox News is a right-wing network. He's aware that Fox News has always been a right-wing network. So no, he just wants to do something new. I think his agent made a few phone calls. I think this was an opportunity. I like how some people are saying, oh, it's the one shred of journalistic integrity that no, they don't have any journalistic integrity, and neither does the place he's going. Stop trying to polish these turds just because the network has turds that are more gross. Who cares? Like that, he was the one. No, he wasn't. They got nothing. They're not a news network. They're absolute garbage. And he's leaving one garbage pile to go to another garbage pile. And by the way, other countries that actually have decent rankings and press freedom indexes that are worth a damn and not just CIA fronts, news structures like ours wouldn't be freaking legal What I mean by that, you wouldn't be able to advertise for war and weapons manufacturers and oil and gas companies on a news network in Norway. That would be illegal. You know why? Because they would be worried that that would compromise your freaking coverage. If you're going to talk about climate change and gas companies are giving you money, are you going to be honest with people about climate change? Well, our media structure can tell you, no, you ain't freaking going to be. So in other countries, that's not a legal thing to do because that would be dishonest to people in a so-called democratic experiment. So
Yeah.
good riddance, Chris. Who cares? Just screw that guy. Screw the place he left. Screw the place he's going. They're all garbage.
Yeah, it's just funny too, because when I first heard he was leaving Fox News, I was like, okay, good for him. And then when I saw that he was going to CNN, and I was like, I don't know why he thinks it's gonna be so much better over there.
I wish he would have done what Bill O'Reilly did and just tried to start like his own like online network, because that's just hilarious watching like just watching these people who have no clue, who probably don't even know how to turn a microphone on, like, oh, I'm gonna start my own network. It's like Sarah Palin failed at it first and they're all following suit.
Oh my gosh, yes. Phenomenal mysticism said Chris Wallace is just another opportunistic careerist. AOC. He just follows the greed. There you go. Thanks so much for the super chat, The Traveler. Fox and NBC argued in court their shows aren't news networks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. I think with MSNBC, I know it was Rachel Maddow, and I think with Fox, I want to say it was Tucker Carlson. I'm not. It might have been someone else. I mean, maybe I'm just thinking Tucker Carlson because he and Rachel have the same hairstyle. But like, it was somebody with Fox and then someone with MSNBC where they basically argued in court to get themselves out of a lawsuit. Well, we're just entertainment. No one thinks we're news, and that was their victory. But yeah, it happened with Fox and it happened with MSNBC.
Oh my, you know how many people I know though, they do think that it's news. Like they believe what's being said. They don't do more research and they just go by what they hear on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, by the way, which put out a really cringe statement about Julian Assange the other day.
I saw bits and pieces of Joe Scarborough, and that was, I mean, that was beyond repulsive, the stuff he was saying. And shout out to, Gordon Dimmick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Dimmick did these short TikTok videos where he pointed out just like 4 lies within 1 minute. They were really cool, the videos he did. But I think the most interesting thing to do is watch people from other countries watch our news. I mean, I can think of a friend of mine. She's a relatively informed person, but she's not like a total news junkie who, is really into a lot of news or anything like that. But she's from Canada and she watched our cable news and she was just like, oh, so news, you guys just don't do that in the United States. You don't have news. You haven't figured that out yet. People in other countries. And again, it doesn't have to be like someone who's like a freaking like I get a lot of news every day type person. It could just be an average person who catches the news when they can. They watch our news and they're just like, what the hell is this? This isn't news. I don't know what this is, but this isn't news. And our news structure is a player on the world stage. And that's because we affect world affairs. That's why people know what the United States does affects the rest of the world. Because we are a superpower, and B, because everyone likes to look at a freaking trade wreck.
Exactly. I know. I think some people just like the entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you.
Totally.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Aspen Fallen said it's newstainment.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going into our final story, you guys. Now, this is another thing that happened over the weekend. There's a couple things going on here. Some of you may have heard about the tornadoes that happened this weekend. And unfortunately, there were Amazon employees that were affected by that. And I'm going to show you part of this article and then talk about like why this is so problematic that they were there in the first place. So an Amazon worker who died in the warehouse collapse wasn't allowed to leave. Now, this is coming from his girlfriend. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video really quick. Maybe I'm not. Maybe there's no sound on this video. Oh, there really isn't a sound on the video. That's okay. I can read the article. So basically, so one of the victims who was killed when a tornado collapsed in Amazon, on an Amazon warehouse in Illinois, texted his girlfriend before the deadly tornado struck, saying that the company had ordered him to hold off driving home and stay put until the storm passed. Larry, who is 46, was killed Friday night when the roof came down at a massive Amazon facility. I got text messages from him. He always tells me when he is filling up the Amazon truck, when he is getting ready to go back. I was like, okay, I love you. He's like, well, Amazon won't let me leave until the storm blows over. She said the text was sent around 8:23 p.m., 16 minutes before the tornado reportedly touched down at 8:39. The couple lived in nearby Collinsville, which Jones said is about 13 minutes away from the warehouse. So he only lived 13 minutes away, you guys. And they wouldn't let him leave. Like, it just... So it says that we heard the tornado didn't touch down until 8:39, so he had 20 minutes to get home. I messaged him, and that was the last text message I got from him. I told him where we live. It was only lightning at the time. After that, I got nothing from him. Verdon, who had worked for Amazon for 5 months, was the father of 4 children, including adopted children, and the couple of 13 years had 3 children together between the ages of 9 and 12. Asked if she faults Amazon for his death, Jones said with a sigh, not really, but it's that what if situation. What if they would have let him leave? He could have made it home. Amazon said the Edwardsville site received a tornado warning through various alerts, and the team on the site at the time worked to get as many workers and partners into a designated shelter area. She said he liked working at the company because he got to work outside. And it goes on to say how he was a veteran and more details about him there. So last I checked, there were 6 Amazon employees who died.
Yeah, and he was not, to my knowledge, I mean, with some of the things I've read about this, he was not the only person who asked to either go home or, I mean, people were asking to not go to work in the first place because of all the warnings that there were. And Amazon's response was, no, screw you, go to work. And this was not, I mean, you know, they're going to try to spin this, Amazon, they're going to try to spin this, but it's like, oh, we were worried about our workers' safety. No. Because if you were, first of all, you would have told them not to come in the first place. You would have said, we're not opening today. And second of all, people were asking to leave and you didn't want them to leave because you wanted them to work. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know who the buck should land on because I don't know how high up you go to be like, this is where the orders were given. But I think they should face criminal charges for gross negligence or, you know, and yeah, I mean, I think gross negligence kind of covers it or whatever kind of legalese, you know, falls into that because they had no right to detain workers that way. No right at all. And, you know, I mean, there are many times where we will kind of half in jest refer to the United States as a capitalist death cult, but it really is. I mean, it truly is. And it's been escalating to this for a long time. I mean, you can think of people in your personal life. Maybe they have like a corporate job or something like that. And, you know, there'll be a big snowstorm in the city to the point where the mayor says, stay home. And you find out your friends who work in an office, you know, for some corporation, they have to go to work that day. It shouldn't be allowed, but we've allowed, first of all, corporations are more powerful than the government. They're lockstep in tow with the government, which is dictionary fascism. That's literally what Mussolini talked about. That's what we have. And we have this obsessive psychotic work culture. There's no other
Yeah.
way to put it. I mean, it is like, you know, it's not just we live to work, not work to live. It's like we live to work and work and work and work, and that's it. And and this is what capitalism does every single time. They just ease it up a little bit, but then it just increases again. Like this is capitalism. This is not late stage capitalism. This is not crony capitalism. This is not corporatism. This is capitalism. This is what capitalism does every single time. If you want to like nitpick about where we're at on the cycle, you can go ahead and do that. It's a waste of time and energy because capitalism does the same freaking thing every single time. And then they relieve it a little bit and it goes right back. It ricochets right back. This is capitalism. If capitalism was a car, it would break down every 2,700 miles. This is what capitalism is. No need for some bullshit adjective. This is the frickin' system. It
Yep.
cannot be any better. It will never be better than this under capitalism. Is there a way we can do capitalism ethically? No. No. No matter what kind of branding Andrew Yang or whoever else uses, the answer is frickin' no, because that's not what capitalism is. Capitalism is pursuit of profit above all else, and the people with the power write the rules. That's what capitalism is. It will and has always done the exact same thing.
Exactly. Like when people say like, "Oh, I just want to put like guardrails on capitalism." There's no such thing because the people
Because
at
then
the
it's not
top,
capitalism anymore.
right, exactly. Like the exploitation is the problem. The fact that like I don't know about you guys, but like we had tornado drills when I was in school, like growing up, and we knew the procedure, like we knew the protocol. I've had this at places I've worked at as well. We knew what to do, and we knew where to go, where you're supposed to seek shelter. It also sounds like to me that some of the people didn't really know because they were like, well, they tried to get as many people out as possible, but shouldn't you have like a plan for like especially where they live? Like it's not unusual to get tornadoes there. So like
Mhm.
we had like plans, we had like tornado drills and things like that. But it just seems like to me the fact that that guy said or told his girlfriend that he wasn't able to leave, it just and then Valerie here, one employee couldn't make it into work that night and he's being docked and time off taken away.
Sure, they'll
So
probably give him a guilt trip for not showing up too. I mean, look, of course those warehouses weren't remotely set up to handle a tornado or handle an evacuation either. This is the same company that would rather have their have an ambulance parked out front to take people to the hospital when they collapse of heat exhaustion, because it's cheaper to do that than have proper air conditioning at the facilities. This is the same company that's fine letting their drivers pee in water bottles. This is the same, again, some bean counter determined, of course, we're not going to be set up for a tornado. If something happens, some people are going to die. Who gives a shit? We'll just replace them because they're commodities, they're widgets, they're for the company. Die for the company. That's the American way. Well, guess what? That ain't my way. That ain't your way. That ain't our way. That's not the way of the people who live here. And that's why we need a frickin' general strike and we need to shut it down and we need to say, we're not going to take this anymore.
yeah, I've seen it too. Like sometimes in the workplace, I've seen coworkers being shamed for getting sick. Obviously, not the
Oh,
same as the
totally.
tornado situation, but being shamed for getting sick. And one of the things that they'll do, and you guys should always watch out for this, by the way. One of the things that they'll do is that the supervisor will say something like, "Oh, we know, people do get sick. I mean, you can't help that. I know what happens. Are you okay? I don't mean to pry. I don't mean to pry, but are you okay? This isn't going to become a recurring issue, is it?"
Oh God. Oh man, my wife's spot. Well, she was still just my girlfriend at the time, but my girlfriend at the time, now wife, she would occasionally, when I was like traveling somewhere cool, come along with me, and they were her days off. She had every right to use them however she wanted. And oh, her boss said that to her. Is this gonna be a recurring thing? I freaking wanted to drive down there and oh, I was so angry. And I mean, I have not had a conventional day job in many, many years. And that's a good thing. I don't think I could handle it. But oh man, I remember, and this was actually one of the only day jobs I've ever had in my life that I actually liked. I worked at a warehouse like over the summers, like during college semesters and stuff. I worked at this shipping and receiving warehouse. And I remember one time, and this was when I was like starting to get, very political. I was in college, so I started to read Chomsky and stuff like that, and I was starting to be radicalized. But I was I was there, and all of them were like kind of having a pissing contest about who got screwed out of the most vacation time. Because the company had one of those policies where if you didn't use it, you eventually lost it. And so they were like having I lost 10 vacation days. That's nothing. I lost 40 vacation days. I haven't had a vacation in 5 years. I haven't had one in 30 years. And there was one dude. I mean, I was just a seasonal employee, so it wasn't me. But there was one dude. He's like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you people. I use every minute of vacation I am entitled to every freaking year. And I don't know why you wouldn't. And I was like, I'm with that guy. But I mean, you're conditioned to kind of have that mentality, and it's completely backwards. I mean, it's like in other countries, it's bizarre to them. It's very
Yeah.
weird. Like they don't understand it. They're like, we love our vacation time. It's our right. Of course, we take it. And if we're not treated right, we frickin' go on strike. And we can do that because our health care is not tied to our frickin' job. And we get living wages, so we don't have to worry about going under every 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, no, it's so true. And then, like, what happens when you shame the employees like that? Then they start to feel guilty. And then the next time they get sick or they have an unexpected event come up, like sometimes things just happen, right? They feel so bad calling out. So they'll go to work sick and then they get other people sick. And then there's this unwanted stress. And we have so much stress here in this country because we are
know.
overworked. People are underpaid. And I never saw this in Germany. Like when people took vacation in Germany, it was like a whole month. Like that was like a thing.
Yeah, I mean, in Germany especially, I mean, talk about a place where it's like you piss them off, they go on strike. They strike there. And that's why there's some facilities in Germany, they have a 28.5-hour work week. You think they got that by asking nicely? No, they were like freaking like, we're going on strike. We're going on strike. France, they go on freaking strike. Italy, they go on freaking strike. They strike. And I'm not like wagging my finger at the working class here. I'm recognizing that it's by design that in
Mhm.
those types of countries with better social safety nets, workers are able to go on strike. They're able to stick up for themselves better. Here, it's a lot harder for us to do that through a 50-year defanging process of unions and workers' rights being diminished from the 60s until present. It's a lot harder to do that here. And that's the trend that we're really trying to reverse. And I know we're up against something very heavy, but you know what's a worse alternative? Not trying. Because guess what? We are at neo-feudalism's door. We're not just near it. We're there. We're in it. So we either get out of it or it's going to get even worse.
Agreed. Juliet said, working in restaurant industry, a vacation day is when the restaurant is closed. That is so true. That is so true. Because I used to wait tables and it's like not a thing. Because if you take vacation and you're a waitress, you don't get paid because we don't have paid vacation for everybody in this country. We don't have paid time off for everybody. So you just lose money that week.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I guess I'm kind of like removed from that system because I'm a self-employed performer or whatever. So yeah, but it's just the work culture in this country is so freaking nuts. And even if you're not directly part of it, it still affects you because like when people are being worked nonstop and they're not getting living wages and they might be too tired to come out to see you when you come to their city. They might be, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's remarkable the low quality of life that we accept in the United States when there's no reason for it. I live in California. We're the 5th largest GDP in the freaking world. And we have, a homeless crisis here. We have a diminishing quality of life. We can't even have healthcare here. I mean, we can't even have a freaking rail. We don't have a freaking high-speed rail to San Diego. We can't figure that out. We don't have quality broadband in the show business capital of the freaking world. I mean, this country has become a parody of itself many times over. And it's, yeah, it's just remarkable. I'm not saying anywhere's utopia. Of course, nowhere is. But holy shit. And this is why, I mean, someone tweeted this the other day, and I think it's a really good point. They always try to scare you about other places, and they always try to scare you about other countries, and they always try to downplay other countries because they don't want you to see how much better it is in other places. One of the big things that did radicalize me when I look back on it, one of it was the Iraq war. That was a big, because I was like, why the hell are we over there? What's going on? And I started learning more about our system. But another big thing was, and this was around the same time, the first time I went to Italy and I met some of my family and I saw how they freaking lived. And I was like, why do we live this way? What? Look at that. Why do we? And even they would say stuff like that. We're like, we don't understand why you guys live the way you live. You should kind of come here and live with us. And I didn't because of stand up. Sometimes I regret it a little bit. But like, that really kind of changed my perspective because it's like something that will really change your freaking mind is when you realize like it doesn't have to be this way. A lot of people in the United States, they think there's nothing better. They think this is the way it's got to be to have their freedom that they think they have. There's nothing free about worrying about bankruptcy if you fall and break your arm. There's nothing free about going into debt for the rest of your freaking life if you want to get an education. There's nothing free about that. There's nothing free about having to work 60 hours a week to keep your head barely above water. That's not freaking freedom. It doesn't matter that you get to pick what kind of sugary cereal you get to eat. Like that's not how it freaking works. But a lot of people they think that what they're trading off is worth it for some kind of return that they get, and they don't realize you're not getting that return. It's not a thing. There is better. There's a lot better. And when people tell you like, well, if the United States is so bad, name somewhere better. They don't actually want you to answer that question. You start answering that question, they start blocking you on Twitter. They say, name a better country. Okay, sure. France, Germany, Italy, Australia, Canada, New Zealand. I mean, it's like you start naming it. They don't want to hear that. Portugal, Spain, they don't. No. And I'm not saying any of those places are perfect. None of them are. But they are a hell of a lot better than we are.
They really sell people on the American dream. And you talk to people, like most people I've talked to who are internationals that moved to the United States, they told me the same thing. Like they wanted to come get the American dream. And I'm like, some of us who were born and raised in America too, still trying to figure out where this dream is at. Yeah. Because that's the propaganda that they preach to people to get people to think that we are the better place to be. Ramsey said, my family in Germany gets 28 days paid vacation. There you go.
Gross, buddy. I hear you.
Thanks so much for the super chat. Intermediary Fossil says Empire Slaves. Yeah. It's just like people work like so many hours now. Like, cause like when I was growing up, my parents did not work these kind of hours. Like they didn't work like people like part of like a millennial, like people in my generation, like I'm seeing people work like 60 hours a week. Some people work 70 hours a week, and then their employer will tell them if you want to move up or you want to get promoted, you need to go back to school. You need to get an MBA. You need to get a master's. So imagine working like 60 hours a week and then also going to grad school too. Oh, but also you're still expected to pay off all of that student loan debt, start a family, and buy a house too.
I mean, I taught community college a while in a different life, I guess. And I mean, it just hurt my heart to see. And, I mean, a lot of my students were, quote, non-traditional students. Like they were all different ages. And some of them, came to school later in life or whatever else. But those who were just college age, it blew my mind, everything on their plates. They would work full time. They would, they would go to school. They would do all these things. And I mean, it just made me so sad for them. And I like, I always wanted to like give them breaks all the time. But I had to like uphold some standards, like you have to grade them. And I just wanted to give them all A's because I felt so bad. but I had to do my job as a teacher. But it really, even in the time when I was in college to, when I was teaching, like I saw it get even worse, and
Mhm.
it's even worse than that now.
Yeah, I'm an academic advisor, and sometimes I just want to like tell my students like run, get out of here as fast as you can. Don't go into any more student loan debt. Just run, go live your life. Go
Yeah, I
travel.
mean, I don't have kids, but I have like some family friends and stuff like that. And we were talking about, my sister and I were actually talking about a friend of ours who, these are family friends that have been our friends forever. And we have watched, we've watched this girl like kind of grow up, like we kind of, like we're kind of like family, and she's a junior now, and we were kind of talking, and I was saying to my sister, I was like, I hope she leaves the country and never freaking comes back. I was like, because she's very, very bright, and I'm like, I hope she goes to Oxford, or I hope she goes to like British Columbia or something. Just leave and
Yeah.
don't come back.
I know we were talking about like solutions, like possible solutions as well. One of the things that I told people at the student boycott summit the other day was that if you're thinking about going to college, first of all, college isn't for everybody. Just keeping it
Totally.
real. It's not for everybody. I watch people come in freshman year and they didn't come back after that summer. But also, if you're thinking about going to college, like consider like going to college abroad where you can go for free, because in some of the countries, even Americans can still go to school there for free. That way
Or
you don't
it's
end up with
super
that debt.
cheap.
Yeah, way
It's
cheaper than this here.
like $500 a semester, which when you still got to factor in like you have to live out there and stuff like that. But when you factor it all in, it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than
Mhm.
going to school in the United States. Which,
So
man,
much.
talk about a failed I mean, that is a failed state. When it is cheaper to start a new life in another country and to get a higher education than it is to go in school in your own country.
Mhm.
When it's cheaper for you to fricking go to Italy or France or somewhere than it is to go to Ohio State when you live in
Mhm.
the US. I mean, no offense to Ohio State. Nothing. I mean, I'm an IU guy, so I guess there's a little bit of a rival there. But it's just first school that popped in my head. But that is a failed state, beyond a failed state, beyond a failed state. I mean, that is just a failed state.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other option that you can do is honestly, and people look down on community colleges, and I don't think that you should. Like honestly, you can go to community college those first 2 years and then transfer to a state school. That'll save you a lot more money. Or you could just go to like a trade school or just go to community college and learn something there that you can use and apply as a career. I had a friend of mine from high school. She went to community college 2 years. She's a dental hygienist. She makes more than me
Hmm.
and I have a master's. So I'm not saying dentist is for everyone, but I'm just saying like those are other options that you can do because college tuition is not going down, you guys. I'm
Yeah,
just telling you, I see the bills every year.
it's nuts, and yeah, I mean, there are ways to like work around it, and people need to kind of think out of the box. Here in California, they literally have like parking lots set up for students who are living in their cars. And there's now, yeah, I mean, literally, it was in the news. I mean, and now there's a program that this guy, his name's Melto Grebne. He's an amazing activist. He does this program for the homeless called Shower of Hope, where he gets showers for homeless people, and he'll also help them get clothing for a job interview or something like that. It's amazing work that he does. And he has another program he's working on where it's going to provide housing for these students, getting them into affordable housing or for free or affordable housing. I don't know the details. It's a new thing, but he's worked because of course the city's not going to help. They'll give you the parking lot to park your car, but I mean it's remarkable like where we've reached as a society, and yeah, I know that people need to think out of the box, and they need to figure out different ways to kind of get what they need to just have a chance in society, and it's absolutely criminal.
Yeah, I don't think sometimes people realize just how like broke like college students can be. And I'm not talking about the ones where their parents like pay for everything and their parents have a lot of money, but like Rome was doing mutual aid recently. I think this was like the other weekend. And he went to a college campus. Guys, you got to go watch that video because he live streamed it on RBN. He went to a college campus and he was just like, the students needed food. Like they're like, thank
Yeah.
you for feeding us so we get to eat. That's a college campus.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to. I mean, it's one thing where it's like you're in college, you don't have a ton of money in your pocket, so ramen noodles is a bit of a food group. We've all been there, but there's a big difference between that and I'm freaking hungry. I need food.
Yep.
I'm undernourished. There's a big difference between those two things. And you know what? Read Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire. One of the first lessons in life. You can't learn when you're freaking hungry. If you're in a classroom and you're hungry, you ain't learning shit because you're going to be obsessed with that hunger. You're hungry. Your body needs nourishment. You can't use your freaking mind. So, not only are you paying out the ass for this, but you're not getting anything out of it because you're hungry in the classroom. This is the world we've created. In one of the richest countries in the world. This is the society we have for people.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And that's one of the reasons why, like at some of the elementary schools and middle schools and high schools as well, they have like the free lunch and free breakfast programs, which that idea came from the Black Panthers actually. But
Yeah.
they have that because guys, for some kids, like that's the only meal they'll actually get to eat that day.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
Ron,
that's why, like, during the pandemic, at least for part of it, there were some schools that, to their credit, they did continue that
Mhm.
because they knew that some kids, it's like that, they relied on that food.
Yeah, it's true. And Ron's right. Like, if you're hungry, it's going to be hard for you to focus in class and like pay attention. Also, if you're cold, and there are some schools in the United States that barely have heat on, like in the winter. I know I've been in some of those schools. I've been in some of those schools when I was doing my observations, and I'm
Mm.
like, why are the kids sitting in the classrooms with coats on?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Even in Massachusetts, they got that even.
Yeah. Well, the problem here in Massachusetts, the buildings are really, really old.
Hmm.
And so the heat is on, but like me personally, I didn't really feel it. Like,
Okay.
and that's why you see kids with the coats on and stuff. Now, they don't have that at the rich schools. Like, obviously, they have everything, right? But some of the schools in Boston, if you go in during the winter time, they'll say that the heat's on and you don't even feel it.
All
Like,
right. I'll have to let my in-laws know about this because they just came out for a visit and they were pointing out, they were just like, nothing is insulated properly in Southern California. It gets really cold and there's just nothing we can do because you guys, and I'll have to be like, well, rumor has it that Massachusetts has not perfected insulation either. I've heard this. So just say it.
yeah,
I'll have to
yeah.
let them know.
If you go into some of the schools in the city, you'll see the difference.
All
Like, and
right.
yeah, it's funny too because you can go like 15 minutes down the road to Newton, which I don't know if you're familiar with Newton, but it's like right next to Boston.
Okay.
It's another wealthy town. But if you go to the schools there, like you just see the difference. Like they have like brand new computers, like no heating issues. But then you drive down Calm Ave and you'll go to a school like in Boston. It's like, why don't I feel any heat in this room?
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, not interesting. I mean, it's tragic, but yeah, that's interesting to know. I do love it up there. I mean, I know we've talked about this off mic, but I mean, my wife's family and stuff is from out there. I do love it up there. It's
There is
I
like
love going up to visit.
there's this Massachusetts California connection. And I don't know where this started, but I know so many people from Massachusetts that have moved to California.
Oh
And I've
yeah.
met so many people here in Massachusetts that are from California.
Mm. It's yeah. There's parts of my neighborhood that kind of remind me of some places in Massachusetts in a way. I live in the San Pedro neighborhood, so it's kind of like a working class harbor town,
Mhm.
which isn't super common in LA. It's like we're pretty much the only one, but yeah, it kind of reminds me of like some places I've been in New England a little bit. I mean, obviously the palm trees kind of changes it, but like just like the overall kind of like setup of the place. I see a little bit of similarities, but we don't get the winter weather, which is fine by me. But
Well, I have to ask this question. Does Christmas feel like Christmas in Southern California
I've
to
gotten
you?
used to it. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I'm used to like a wintry, Christmas holiday. But ever since I've lived out here, I've stayed here for the Christmas holiday because it's just so nice to not be traveling for it, and it's really nice here because LA just empties out. Like LA is just like it's abandoned. And you're just like, I mean, I guess that romance has kind of worn off a little bit because of the pandemic, because like it kind of all it all sort of was like that for a while, you know what I mean? But especially prior to the pandemic, there was a certain romance of like LA during, between Christmas Eve and like the day or two after New Year's, because it's like the city would just empty and you could get anywhere in like 25 minutes, and it was kind of cool. So I've gotten used to the Southern California Christmases. You just try to do an inventory of which of your friends are going to be around, and then you just kind of make plans.
Interesting. Yeah, I've always wondered about that. I'm like, does it really feel like Christmas in California? But then, like, I will tell you, like, here in the summer in Boston, Boston empties out because all the college students leave.
Yeah. I
So
love
it's
Boston in
different.
the summer too.
It's
That's
the
my
best time
favorite
to come
time.
here.
Yeah, summer or like right at the start of the fall, which with climate change, fall's not really a thing that happens much anymore. But when it
Mhm.
does, it is cool. And the one in what up there, it's a very nice autumn. But
Mhm. Well, we do all the pumpkin stuff. Like, is that a thing? I never asked you that before. Is that a thing in Southern California? Like the pumpkin donuts and the cider donuts and the pumpkin tea and pumpkin coffee and all that?
yeah, I mean, we got Starbucks too. But yeah, no, we definitely have that. It's not as like region specific the way, and I know what you're talking about because yeah, like I know like my wife grew up with that kind of stuff, so it's not as extensive, but yeah, I mean we definitely got like the pumpkin spice thing, and they try a lot of people in Southern California, they're not native to Southern California, I mean, as we all know. And so the interesting thing about this part of the world is like anything you could really want, you can find it. So like there are places, is like just because of like the mountains and the way like the, I guess, the latitude or whatever you want to call it, like the way it all works. If you really want to get to snow, you can. If you really want to get to the beach, obviously you can. And so there are different towns that really do actually have like fall and like changing leaves and like apple picking and stuff. You just have to drive to it and find it. So it is one of those things where if you really need to scratch that itch, you can do it, where you'll feel like you're in New England for like a day or something. You just got to drive to it. And I always mean to do that every year. And then usually I just never get to it. And then all of a sudden it's winter again. So, it is something I care about, but I just haven't really gotten to it. I'm like, oh, that's 2 hours away.
Thanks so much, Kyle, for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Yeah, for those who don't know, like in New England, like fall is like a big thing here. Like like he was saying, like the apple picking and all that stuff, like it's like a big deal. And you go to like some of these apple picking farms and they're always crowded, by the way. No
You
matter
get
which
some
one you go
chowder
to.
at Doyle's.
You did. Oh no,
You
did
did.
I tell you they closed though?
No.
Yes, I did.
Moment of silence.
I told my mom and she was like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No, they sold out. Like they were offered a
Dude.
lot of money
Oh man, that
from an
place is like a historic landmark. It looks
Yep,
like you feel like you went back in time when you walk into that place.
yep.
And I'm sure there might be some like Boston people watching this that go, "There's a better bowl of chowder." I'm sure there is, but this place is legendary and it's really old and it's such a
Yes.
cool building. And I'm sorry to hear that. I hope they don't make condos out of it. So we'll see.
I hope not either. Yeah, that place. A lot of famous people have come through there, and there was like movies that have been filmed there. There's been speeches that have been written there, but the clam chowder there was like the best like I've had like in Boston. But yeah, oh yeah, they cashed out before the pandemic. They were offered a lot of money by an investor and they sold it. And I was like, no, just stop selling everything.
Have you ever been to Alive and Kickin' in Cambridge?
Not yet. I still have to
You
do
gotta
that.
go. You gotta go. I mean, if you like, so it's not a lobster roll with them, it's a freaking lobster sandwich because they load it up. And that place, I mean, oh, that is my happy place. The first time I went there, um, I had a college gig in Boston randomly, and I had time for a nice lunch. So I was just like, "Where's a good place to go?" And the person at the hotel was like, "Well, I mean, what's the big chain that Legal? Is that what it's called?"
Legal seafood.
Yeah, the person was like, "There's illegal seafood. That's really good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know the drill there. I mean, they're fine for what it is, but I'm looking for something." And they were like, "There's this place kind of right on the water, and it's a lobster place." It's like, "That's where I'm going." And it was alive and kicking. And I show up, and they at the time they were cash only. I don't know if they still are, but like at the time they were cash only. And I happened to
Mhm.
only have $100 bill on me. That was like the only cash I had because like I had just gotten it like from the ATM basically. And the guy was complaining. He didn't want to make change for a bill that big. And I was like, this is going to be freaking good. They have poor customer service. They're pissed off that I'm in here. I like it here. And sure enough, it was one of the best freaking lobster rolls I've ever had in my life. And I took my wife there. She had never been there, but I was just like alive and kicking. Like usually when we go up there, a lot of times when we go up there, like if you see pictures like right away, you'll be like, "Oh, Ron has a chubby brother," and it's like, "No, that's me. I've just been inhaling lobster rolls and soft serve since we've been here." So yeah, I got to do some sit ups when I get home.
Oh my god. I'm going to put this in the chat for people because if you were ever in the Boston area, you guys, everybody's told me I need to go to this place and like they don't even really have a real website. So I'm just going to give you the Facebook website.
Oh, alive and kicking.
Yes,
I'm
like
sure they don't have a website. I'm surprised they have a Facebook. I bet if
it's
they knew about it, they'd take it down.
they probably would. Like I've driven past a couple times cuz I used to live in Cambridge and it looks like someone's house. So you have to
Yeah,
ask yourself like is this
yeah.
the
And it
place?
Oh, and yes, it is. I mean, yeah, they have the picnic tables with like just, and no matter how cold it is, you'll just see a freaking roll of paper towels just sitting there. I mean, at times for the year, there might be freaking icicles coming off of it, but whatever, it's there, and that's what you do. And I'm sure if you go to their Yelp page, there's probably some tourist assholes who are like, they weren't very polite, and screw that person's Yelp review. It's awesome. It is awesome. I love that place.
Those are the best places to go to here, you guys. Like this is what it looks like.
Yes.
The-
Oh, I'm getting hungry just looking at it. Yeah, you just go in there and you just order this amazing lobster sandwich with like and you get the chowder too. You get the combo. It's so great. And if you have a big bill, they'll just yell at you. It's awesome.
Yeah, they have places like that here, you guys. Like there's a ramen place. It's actually on the Somerville Cambridge line where like there's only two options of ramen and you need to know what you want before they take your order. And then like if you don't, oh my God, Ron, I just said order instead of order. See?
Yeah, you're a saltwater person.
But like if you don't finish it, like the hosts, they make fun of you if you don't finish all your food.
Thank you,
Those
Cryosynth. Thank you for saying that. When you get, so I will be in Portland, Maine, and I guess I'll mention all my dates before we sign off here. But yeah, I will be in Portland, Maine on April 23rd, and thank you for that very kind offer. Yeah, direct me to the best lobster roll in Portland, Maine. I look forward to it. It'll be my first time there. I've never been to Portland, Maine.
It's
I've
fun.
been,
It's kind of like a smaller Boston.
that's what I've heard. There's only a handful of states that I've not been to / played in. Like there's only a couple, and Maine's one of them.
Yeah. It are you going there like in the winter or summer?
April, so in between,
Oh, okay.
which I
Okay.
guess is kind of still winter, but whatever. I'm excited. I wanted to see my family for Easter, so I built a run, going to Pittsburgh, and so I wanted to go to Canada and I wanted to see my folks. So, I'm starting in Pittsburgh. and then I'm going up to Canada, and I'm doing Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. So then I figured I'd work my way back down New England. So I'm doing Portland, Maine, Burlington, Vermont, Boston, New York City.
You're gonna have a good
Dude,
food
did it.
trip. It's a food trip.
Oh,
All
it
the
totally
good
is,
food
yeah.
places.
I
Thanks
know.
so
I
much,
know.
JM. Thank you so much for that. No, you're gonna hit up all the good like food spots, and like especially Montreal. They have this thing there called Schwartz. It's so good.
Oh yeah, Schwartz. All right.
It's this type of like like meat. I don't know what the meat actually is, but they call it Schwartz there, and it kind of looks like corned beef, but kind of not.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to. Well, I'm calling. I mean, since we're on the topic of food, I am calling the tour poutine, not pipelines. So that's.
Oh man, I love poutine. I keep telling everybody should try poutine at least once in your life.
You gotta get it real too, because it's like some places they'll sort of recreate it, and it's like this is just French fries and gravy and like some cheddar or whatever. But it's like no, you have to get it from a place where they have the actual cheese curds, because that's kind of what makes it.
Right. If you just use like gravy and like melted cheese, it doesn't taste the same.
Well, it still tastes good because how can you go wrong with those three things? I mean, that's a power trio, right? Cheese, gravy, fries. But yeah, you got to get the proper like poutine, like cheese curds. I don't know exactly what makes the cheese curds, but I know that they taste better.
Me neither.
Like, I don't know exactly. I can't explain it. I can like someone asked me that though. They're like, "Well, what's the cheese curd exactly?" And I'm like, "It's just like the part. I don't know. It's the free range part of the cheese. It's just the thing that comes off the cheese tree first. I don't know exactly, but it tastes better than the rest of it. I know that."
Pittsburgh dude said, "Sabby, have you ever tried a Primanti Bros sandwich?" I have not.
I have. I grew up with that stuff. It is a damn good sandwich, but I gotta say, and with all due respect, Pittsburgh Dude 87, there are better sandwiches in Pittsburgh. And Sabby, if you were ever in Pittsburgh the same time as I was, and you wanted me to show you around to all my favorite food places, we would go to Primanti's eventually because it is kind of a thing you just got to experience. But my favorite sandwich spots, there's a couple other places we'd go first. We go to Sinceri's. I'd get you a tuna balsamic. There's a few places that I rank above Primanti's personally, but I mean that's always the case, right?
Oh man, this is making me hungry. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
me
about food. Oh man, Ron, before you go, I got way off topic here. Like I got way off topic from the news. But before you go, what do you have coming up?
So I do have a tour coming up in April. I'll be on the road, and yeah, I'll so I'm starting in Pittsburgh. I'm going to my hometown April 16th, April 18th Toronto, April 20th Ottawa, April 21st Montreal. I'm going to see you in Canada. It is before the hockey playoffs, so you have no excuse not to be there. I would not schedule it during hockey playoffs. And then I'm going to be in Burlington, Vermont, Portland, Maine. Looking forward to some lobster rolls. Boston, Mass. New York City. You can grab tickets at my website, ronplacone.com, youtube.com/ronplacone. You can get my podcast, Get Your News On with Ron, wherever you get podcasts, or on my YouTube or Rockfin channel. And I'm at Ron Placone on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm still kind of figuring that one out, but I am on it. So feel free to follow me on all of them. And thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on, Ron.
Cheers.
All right, guys, you know how we do this. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.